Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining on another Tuesday night. Happy to have everybody here. Fun stuff. I mean, if anybody knows these two, uh, we're going to be in for some good times. There'll probably be some things said that nobody had any idea that things were going to be said. That's just always the way it goes with these two. So it's awesome to catch up with Mark and Sherri, and it's I make no bones about it. For me, it's one of my favorite brands. I try to associate the people with the brands, and you guys do as good a job as anybody of representing not only yourselves but your brand, and your whiskey represents you guys. It's big and bold and fun and all of that. So first and foremost, thanks for joining tonight. I'm happy to catch up and glad we were able to do this.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. So it's always fun to catch up, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of things that have been going on and that you've got coming up. I mean, if there's always somebody who's got something going on, it's you two. There's never, I don't think, a dull moment. I think you can attest to that.
Yes.
That's all you got. That's all you got. I mean, geez, most of the time I can't even keep either of you quiet. That's all you gave me. You gave me nothing. You gave me nothing. So, all right. I guess if we're gonna do it this way, I'm gonna have to bust out the script and go question by question, I guess. No, we're not doing that. We're just having fun tonight. So
we're very happy to be with you tonight, and we're excited. I know you've got the Ryes to try, and we had a fantastic time this year blending the Ryes, and it's been actually kind of cool because normally our Ryes would be in the market very early in the year, and then they would that would be the end of it. And this year, certain distributors have actually held on to some of the Ryes, and so we're now seeing those actually enter the market right now. So it's exciting to see people tasting those and talking about them at this point in the year. So yeah. I'm glad you've got them, and you can give people some inside info on your thoughts.
That's been some of the kind of interesting things like this year. And I don't know if it has anything to do with like the COVID or just from the standpoint of, your stuff has gotten so popular that it no longer will even be on the shelf. And if it is, it's not for very long. So I think a lot of these, distributors or liquor stores, when they get these things, they're pulling things back to slowly release it to the public. And it's kind of nice because for how you guys do it, you release multiple batches at one time. So by these guys keeping some of this stuff back, they can trickle a few of these batches, into the market and really kind of extend it rather than just, hey, here's, for example, here's batches 7, 8, and 9. You guys have it all, or they can batch release it when they want to. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of our distributors did a really great job of actually letting out a little at a time instead of just letting it all go, and then there was nothing in the market and we're forgotten about. So it was really that a lot of the markets like California, they've just released the Ryes. So that's nice. So there's something on the shelf maybe you can find. Because, we do want to be visible. We do want to be out there that you can find us, so we're working hard to make more batches and have something out there, during the year so that you can find it. So people don't get mad at us, basically.
and that's the thing. I think, from a brand like yours and others that are similar to your size, you put these batches together, it gets to the distributor, and then, it's gone in no time, and people are angry because they can't get it or whatever. So it is kind of nice that I think a lot of these companies, not only do they want to sell it, but they want your presence to be there in their liquor store. I mean, it means something to them to have an Old Carter bottle, whatever it may be, on their shelves. I mean, that's important for them. So it is really nice to see some of these guys slowly trickling some of this stuff out. So that's really nice. Thanks, Roy. Appreciate that very much. So tonight, let me just throw this at the bottom. So this will be tonight's little giveaway. Where is that? Oh, wrong one. There it is. So I've basically taken half an ounce out of each one of these, so I can nose it, taste it tonight, and have a little bit of something. More importantly, I want other people who don't have an opportunity, whether it's their state or the cost or whatever it may be, to be able to try some of this stuff. I mean, I was in that boat once, and you don't get a chance to try some of these what I consider special whiskeys, and for people to have a shot, I think at all three of them, it's kind of a nice little thing. I mean, I don't need, as much as I want this stuff, I don't need more whiskey. I've got enough whiskey that will last me a lifetime. And you guys are probably in the same boat, I'm sure, of course. So
you can never have too much whiskey, Scott.
Well, I would agree. I would agree. Yeah, you probably can't. I know what I've got. I'll never be able to drink in a lifetime. I'll give it a good shot, but I'm probably not going to be able to get rid of it. So
that's what friends are for.
Yes.
That is true. It's, you've got a good problem when you have friends over and they try a bunch of things and it still looks as though nobody ever came over. I guess it's a good problem. So before we dive into this, I guess, why don't you give us a little update on, maybe a few of the prior releases and kind of like what's going on with you guys now, and kind of go from there a little bit. Just fill everybody in a little.
Yeah, why don't you start at the beginning of the year?
Yeah,
it
was pretty exciting this year because we did, as a lot of you guys know, we did increase our distribution footprint a little bit this year. We are very grateful that we're always being asked, when are you coming to our state? And really our goal is to try to grow responsibly and not let integrity come up as an issue, because we aren't going to ever make anything that we don't love 1,000%. And so patience is appreciated, but we did increase our distribution this year. And in doing so, instead of increasing a large jump into bigger batches, larger batches of the same thing, we decided that for the bourbon this year, we would, for the spring release, we would do 4 batches instead of 2. And so we released batches 7, 8, 9, and 10 for bourbon this year, and as well as 2 American whiskeys. And that was a lovely amount, we felt, to be able to hit that broader reach and to get more of it into different hands. And we had a lot of fun putting those batches together, and very proud that each one is totally different and unique. And just was a lot of fun at doing what we do with barrel selection and then blending.
And mash bills.
And mash bills. And then, of course, the Ryes came after that. And we usually do, you want to talk about the rye? We usually do.
Well, we usually do a his and hers rye, but since we wanted to increase a little bit, we did a his, hers, and ours this time. So
okay.
The 79 of the rye.
Not in that order.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about which is which. We just want you to enjoy all of them and come to your own conclusions on what you like. But we do keep score internally.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter, but it does matter. That's how it goes. So no, and that's one thing that I appreciate with what it is that you guys do. I mean, I know you work tirelessly to bring all of these releases, because I mean, we see just in general, if somebody does a release and it's maybe 1 or 2 different releases a year, I mean, you guys are putting out, 6, 10 releases. I mean, whatever it may be, these different batches of things. I mean, that is so much. I mean, we appreciate that, but for you guys having to go through that blending and batching, and this was something I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about a little bit as well, is with doing, the Ryes and the bourbons and the American whiskey, not to ask you what your favorite is, but when you're doing all this blending, is there something in your mind as far as like a baseline that you're working off of that you look for? I know they're going to be different, But as you're going through these, like what is it that you're looking for to have your whiskey represent?
So for me, I think, and Mark too, I mean, we could probably come up with this answer in different rooms, but we just love to make things that are delicious. And it seems to be that, when we both hit on those things that we just love, they're never the same thing twice. And that's the beauty of, I think, being able to work with great barrels and blend. We're not going into it saying, okay, we want this profile or that profile. We just blend until we love it. And we both look at each other and, get goosebumps and the hair stands up on the back of Mark's neck.
Yeah.
And then And so it's, I don't know. We go into it looking for great balance. Great richness, great mouthfeel, depth. Almost like you would, kind of like what we do in wine, in the way that we love to produce wines.
Complexity.
We do the same thing with the whiskey and the blending.
Aromatics.
And when you're doing like the blending, for the most part, I mean, I'm assuming you're tasting from each barrel, just so obviously what each one has to kind of offer. Like once you kind of get what that is, knowing that you're going to do, like, for example, like the Ryes, we got 7, 8, and 9. So when you're batching these and you're starting with 7 and you're just kind of going through each one of these, I suppose you just allow the barrels to kind of speak for themselves, and then you work off of what each barrel kind of has to offer to develop, that blend.
We actually blended all those simultaneously.
Yeah, we tasted through every barrel of the Ryes first, and kind of said, we really like these.
Well, with the rye, remember, it's different. We don't do this with bourbon or American whiskey, but with the rye, I do my barrels and Mark does his barrels. So there's always a bit of a scramble at the beginning on what barrels.
As we taste through them and we have our favorite barrels, it's a fight over who gets those barrels.
Sometimes we have to thumb wrestle. Sometimes.
Okay. All right. So there is. That's kind of interesting to know. So like when you try a certain barrel, there could be, like, if you're doing your own batch, there could be, I see, like, this is a barrel that I really like, and then you say, well, that's a barrel that I really like. Now we're gonna have to try to duke this one out.
Pick straw.
How are we gonna win the battle to who gets this barrel for this batch blend?
We somehow seem to work it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I figured. I mean, you two are sitting really close to each other, so I figured you probably have somewhere along the way figured out how to, like, coordinate or negotiate who gets what barrel. So
it depends sometimes on, last year, maybe you got barrels that I would have liked. And so this year, maybe I'll get those barrels.
Well,
okay. It's all a negotiation. It's all a negotiation.
It was really fun to do one that was actually something that we worked on together for a rye. I think rye, to me, is one of the most interesting spirits out there because it just is so surprising. And, it's just the barrels that we're working with, we do a lot with, they're just always surprising, and they are very
complex. I think, much more sometimes than bourbon. Bourbon's beautiful. We love bourbon, but the rye is sometimes a little more interesting, we feel.
Yeah. I think for me, probably over the course of the last, maybe 2 or 3 years, have really kind of developed more of an appreciation for rye and, like, what the rye has to offer, because, I used to think of them as a little bit more one-dimensional, but I think honestly, for, like, what it is that you guys do, kind of changed a lot of people's, like, perspective on, like, what a really nice blended rye can really be like. So, I give you a lot of credit for, introducing, again, those big, bold, complex, great finishes, all of that, on a great whiskey that people get to enjoy. So.
Yeah, I think our ryes, they're a little older than some of the ryes out there. They are about 7 years old. I like a lot of the products that don't have age statements on them are 7 years old.
Okay.
And I think just having a little more age on them a lot of times really sweetens them up. And that's, what we're looking for a lot of times in the Ryes. And some of our Ryes even have a little bit of that great balance that we're looking for. So it almost falls into almost kind of a bourbon style.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I think when you're going through, that process, you probably have always in your mind everything that you release. So you always have something banked as to, hey, what is it that we really want to have, this whiskey kind of speak about? But I guess you really kind of get in the moment for each batch, because you never know what's going to develop. And if you've got something else, or you need a little something else, you go to another barrel that maybe it's the finishing touch. And now you've got, exactly what it is that, not that you wanted, but what you want now. Like, it's a delicious whiskey. This is batch 7, 8, whatever it may be. So that's kind of a really interesting way of doing it, because, going in, you never truly know what it is you're going to have until you get into all the barrels.
Yeah, you have to taste through all the barrels, and we do. And then we'll start blending, and we'll do for each one of our batches as many as, we can get up to 30 or 40 different blends before we settle on something that we may go back, even though we went to 40. It might have been 25 that we go, oh, that's really
Mark's very good at being happy with one. When he hits it, he loves it. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and go back to blending.
Yeah, see, I'm probably in the camp of Mark as well. Like, there's a time, like, I know, because perfect kind of transition. So Jason, the mash and drum. So he and I got the whiskey club, and from my standpoint is, like, I know going into each whiskey what it is that I want, not knowing the flavor profile of what it is, but I know in terms of the stages that I want it to kind of hit. So that's what I look for. And for me, like, when I'm selecting these barrels, or when we're selecting these barrels, I mean, I can taste through 3 of them fairly quickly and know this is what I want. Like, I'm done. I don't need to go any further. Could I push the envelope and maybe see what there is? But yes, but I'm kind of in Mark's camp, where I like to just, when I know it's good, like, I'm good with that. Good is good in my book, So now, Sherri, here's a question for you. Like, when you, let's say you've got the blend and Mark says, this is good, let's stop. And you get up at 2:30 in the morning because your mind is racing and you're like, I think I can tweak this or make it a little better. Have you gotten to the point where you've started doing some blending and thought, oh shit, maybe we should have just stopped and, like, let's just leave this thing alone?
Well, you can always keep going. And I think a lot of times when you keep going and you say, well, I don't like this as much, I don't like this as much, I don't like this as much, to me, that shows that, yes, where we were is where we should be. So for me, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
Mark, he gets to a spot and he's good. But I always like, with blending, when we do single barrel selections for our single barrel stuff, it's different, right? With blending, you're working with 15 barrels or 10 barrels. You've got a lot of combinations. And then
sky's the limit, actually, almost, for the combinations.
But we're starting with, we've got a lineup of 20 to 30 barrels that we're working from and whittling it down to what the blend is going to be. So not only do we have that core blend that we've been working with, but it's like, well, what would it be like with that guy in there, or this guy, or, so that's where I go.
Okay. Yeah, and I can see
blends at the last minute.
Yeah, it's happened. Mm-hmm. One more try to make it.
We've been blending on the way to bottling.
Really, right down to the last second. Okay, now probably not right that, but so okay. Here's a good, like, twist. So for Mark, like, for you and I, like, we get to that point where it's good, and now Sherri does her magic and brings you something, and you're like, kind of, here's the oh shit moment where I'm glad she did her thing, because now what she did is better than what I thought was, like, we're good, let's stop here. So.
Yeah, and it can happen. It has happened, and it's also pushed me to go back and go, oh man, I really like Sherri's rye blend here. I don't want to get left in the dirt here. I better do a little more work here.
He's got great instincts, and you have very good instincts. And So anyway.
Well, I mean, I think that's what, but I think that's what makes you guys really, really good at what you do. I mean, obviously the proof is in the pudding or the bourbon or the rye or the American whiskey. It's just one of those things that when you try it, you always get that like really well-rounded, bold, complex, great finish on a whiskey. You always get that, but it's always something a little bit different, which is great as well, you know?
Thank you. I think that's a huge compliment. We appreciate that.
That's kind of what we were shooting for when we first started.
Well, we knew we'd never make the same thing twice, and that was okay with us.
Because the barrels are going to be different that we have, and you know, and so each time we blend, it's not like we have thousands or and thousands of different barrels, the same barrels to choose from, the same age and everything. So, and it makes it a little tougher. One of the nice things is, and a lot of people don't know out there that we've been putting up and having this, stuff distilled since 17. So we're getting close to having, and we really do like that sweet spot of about that 7-year-old. So we got about 1.5 years to go before, we can actually start blending some of those original, our own distillate that we had put up.
And that'll be, and are we talking like both bourbon and rye, or
all the good things?
All of it. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I knew you guys had been doing some things, and I think a lot of people will really be excited to try, just that. Like, I mean, is the idea to also at some point ultimately release your own like, distillate that you had distilled and now bottle that versus necessarily blending it with, other distillate?
We'll never stop sourcing barrels.
Yeah, we love that. We love tasting, and
we like working with all different age spirits. And we've been graced to be able to work with barrels from, 7 years to 27, 28, 29 years. So it's been, I never want to stop working with older barrels.
Yeah, whatever we can
We're kind of impatient. So if we can find them with some age on them, we'd rather keep going with programs, definitely continuing to distill every year. But it's just so fun to work with different aged spirits that we want to continue to do it all on our little scale that we do.
Well, I mean, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, but I mean, these older whiskeys, I mean, generally speaking, is where a lot of that richness and complexity really comes from. I mean, those, you can't rush, a 15, 20, 25-year bourbon. It literally needs that amount of time. So, with that time that's spent in the barrel, offers all of those different flavors and profiles that you're not going to get from a younger whiskey. It's impossible to have. So, will you guys, I mean, will you ultimately, or are you opposed to just releasing and not blending old with new and just actually blending some of your new stuff and like introducing maybe just a new, Old Carter line, to the portfolio?
Well, we haven't really talked a lot about this, but instinctively, I would say when we plan to start working with the barrels that we've put up, we'll stay within the family of whatever mash bill that is and that group of barrels, so I don't see us blending sourced barrels with our own barrels.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you'll keep it. If it's your own, it's your own. If it's okay. All right. So, I mean, I like that.
We talked about this,
but we,
yeah. I mean, I like that idea. I mean, I really do like the idea of just now, introducing what it is that you guys did and what you're crafting as just another addition to the family of what it is you already have. And I think there's enough people, especially people watching tonight or whatever it may be, that are educated enough to know that, it's going to be something different. I mean, everything that you guys do is always different, but to appreciate what it is that you guys are crafting as just something else that's new to the portfolio. So I think that'll be a really fun thing. So
yeah. I didn't mean to.
No, I we've pretty much kept everything pretty well separate. We have not really blended Tennessee and Indiana even, we try to keep it. I think it's nice to keep them separate. I think it doesn't, a lot of times when you put too many ingredients in, as you're a chef, you muddy it up a little too much, I think, but it's just us, how I think we feel.
Well, and plus, I mean, I think you have kind of a consistent profile of barrels that you're working with, that you're not trying to, take, like, for instance, Tennessee whiskey and, Kentucky or Indiana, and trying to do all these different things. Now, people do it, whether it's right or wrong or good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can do whatever it is you want, but I mean, for you guys, you at least understand that you're going to have this profile, and this is what it is that we're going to be, kind of working with. You're not trying to, kind of create a monster, so to speak, No. So why don't we, I'm going to get into, I guess, kind of a few of these. Anything that you're kind of working on, like right now, that's kind of fun and interesting. And I'll start going through the batches 7, 8, and 9 of this. So
that's great.
You want me to unload?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we are working on another bourbon and American whiskey release for this year. We've had a little bit of a schedule shift as we've had issues getting our labels printed for our bottles. Our release date got pushed back a bit, and we appreciate everybody's patience. But the good news is, in late October, early November, we will have a bourbon and a rye back in our distributors' hands.
Okay.
And American whiskey.
I'm sorry, not rye. Did I say rye?
You did.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say rye. This green, this pop and hi, Troy, and I guess it's for my birthday. When I see green, I think of rye, so that's what happened.
Troy is nice enough too that in addition to, as you can see, in addition to batches 7, 8, and 9, he's going to give away batches 4, 5, and 6 of the rye.
Happy birthday, Troy!
Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And bourbon batches 8 and 9 and a single barrel of number 48. So there'll be a couple. We'll do it as a couple of different releases tonight. So 2 winners are going to get a plethora of really good Old Carter tonight. So Troy, thanks, buddy. I greatly appreciate that. Whoever wins is going to appreciate it more than I appreciate it. I'll tell you that. So thanks, bud. Appreciate that. So, but yeah, no. So, okay. Sorry, Sherri, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
So yes. So we are working on at least one. We might do 2 bourbons.
And there are also we have the very small batches coming out,
which is a little new journey that we've
they're
taken.
3-barrel blends.
So for each of our distribution markets, we have put together very small batches. They will be they will actually have a sticker on them that say very small batch. Okay. And these will be each of the different distributors will have a blend that the actual distributors picked from a selection of 3 blends that we sent them. So this should be very fun. It is
bourbon.
It's bourbon. All of it's bourbon, and it's all Indiana. And it should be fun. I don't want to say a lot about it because I want people to taste and enjoy it and come to their own conclusions. But it'll be neat because we've got our markets are, of course, Kentucky, DC and California,
New York,
New Jersey,
and
Georgia,
New Orleans,
Georgia, and Louisiana. So we're excited to see. It's been very fun to see what the different distributors have selected as their signature blend. So this is the first time we've done this, and it's just another way that we feel we can bring something to these distributors who've been so supportive of us, and get a little more bottles in their hands and still stay in our comfort zone of doing small blends.
Well, and that sounds it sounds fun. I mean, to be able to do something special for the people who have done everything, not everything, but things for you guys. That's a really cool way to say thank you, I would say. So that's pretty awesome. And it also kind of sounds a little bit like you're just about ready to work with a few like whiskey clubs. Is that correct? specifically like maybe like the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club or something like that.
Love it.
I kind of know. I know a guy who's part of the club and all that. So I'm just kind of asking for a friend here a little bit. So, but it sounds like that's getting very, very close, is what that sounds like. So
you're a very sneaky host.
Yeah, exactly. So here's one thing I'll say right away about the batch 7. It's one thing that I love about a Ryes when you get that nice like sweet oak and mint. It's almost like a little bit of chocolate on 7 for whatever it is. Really nice nose on this so far. Maybe a little floral, some nice caramels in there. Man, really nice on 7. So let me give this one a try. Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining tonight.
Cheers.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, that's just that. Again, that classic. It's kind of almost, this is interesting, like a little bit of like a mint chocolate chip. I don't know what it is about 7, but there's a little bit of like a mint chocolate chip and some nice kind of like a vanillas or some like buttercreams. It's almost like a mint chocolate chip custard ice cream, for crying out loud.
I like it.
That's really nice. Maybe even a little. One thing I've been kind of picking up notes of is a little bit more of like a green or black teas at times.
I think that's extremely spot on.
Yeah.
There are several, times when we're blending, especially picking out specific barrels, and we'll get that quality for sure.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's I think it lends a really interesting kind of little layer of exotic note.
Yeah, I like that black
Turkish
tea.
Apricots.
Or even orange tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see a little bit of kind of like a citrusy kind of aspect to this as well. Very, very nice. That's the one thing I love about doing like tastings with you guys, because when you go to the next one, it's gonna you expect it to be similar or the same, and it's like, well, holy shit, here we go. Now we're off to the races again on something. But I really dig, and one thing I love is the complexity and a great finish. When you have those like waves or layers of each one that kind of starts to shine. That's one thing I love about like a really well put together or blended, whiskey. So very good so far.
Thank you.
And I start out with like an A. Like, I don't know, where do I go from A? Like, I mean, once you're like on an A already, it's like, geez, there's no like grading on a curve or anything with you guys, just like straight A's. So, and I'm trying to keep up with all of it.
A couple questions
I see
can answer.
Rare Bird 101. And we do have some agent over there at Wilderness Trail that we put up.
Not as many as we would like. Wilderness Trail.
Yeah, it'd be great to have some more.
Yes, we do. And yes, we are. I just said to Mark, I wish we had some. We only have Rye 9 in the house.
Yeah.
We never have anything.
Well,
it's always the funniest thing. The people who make the whiskey never have the whiskey is usually the way it goes. It's the funniest thing.
Ironically, we're moving right now. So Mark came over today and boxed up
everything,
120 bottles of whiskey and took it. Not all of it ours, obviously. But we do have that.
That's always like the funny part, because like, you think of like the whiskey life as being like all glamorous and this and that. And it's like, then you hear of like one of the people who owns the brands like stuffing boxes or putting labels on, and you just do, you do what you got to do. So
we do a lot of that. We do a lot.
There's just the two of us plus Jay Matthews.
We've got Jay now.
Yeah, so the three of us.
I've had help on label writing the last few runs because we've been doing larger quantities. In the spring we did, believe it or not, that was 13,000 bottles we produced in the spring.
That's crazy.
4 bourbons and the 2 Americans.
And
that's a lot of handwriting.
It is.
In 1 week, because we blend and then we bottle in 7 days after that.
And we have to know the proofs to actually write the labels.
Let's see here. Let's see. What do we got here? What's I at here?
You're on the Rye 8.
Yeah, I'm on Rye 8. So
I've got all my notes, even though we don't have the bottles here. We know those things pretty much at the back of our hands.
Yeah.
So
now, see, I think like for me, like batch 8 is already more like developing in terms of like the herbal side of things. It's there's nice that mint, but again, stronger on like the herbal characteristics, more of that like kind of black tea. Maybe even a little bit more kind of like dark fruits as well.
yeah, I agree with that.
Oh man. What about like even on this, like I don't know about you, but I'm getting like a little bit of like a pastry dough note on this.
Mm-hmm. I think that pops up quite a lot with us.
Yeah, like
for sure that
baked goods are always wonderful to have in there, as a tasting note.
Let's see here. Okay. All right. Well, here, this is kind of an old question. I think you guys have answered this one probably a million times, but
what makes the American whiskey American and not bourbon? No, good question.
Yeah.
We have been asked that quite a few times, but it's a good question.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy actually. Our American whiskey did not go into new barrels to begin with, and that is one of the rules that you need to do. Is it's got to go into a new charred barrel and oak barrel, hopefully, but that was into a neutral barrel that had been used before. And also we believe that it went in over the 125 that it should go in if it's bourbon. So I think it went into the barrel at a higher proof. So those are the two things that ruled out. But the mash bill is over 51% corn. So it could, if it had done the other two things, it would have been a bourbon. So,
I think a lot of times where people kind of lose like the understanding of that is like the barrel entry or the distillation proof. Like I think that gets kind of discredited at times. Like I think that always gets a little confusing for some people as to why that American whiskey is not technically, outside of it being maybe not a new charred oak barrel or something. So. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, and if you guys see questions, I mean, because you can see they fly right by. So if you see a question, by all means, jump in there. So, Jays are awesome. Jays, yeah.
Hi, Jays.
Coming from JG. So,
awesome. Yeah. If you need another J, I'm available. He says.
This already for me, 8 is already much bolder. There's a little bit of a richer characteristic to it, I would say. Like 7 coming to 8, 7 seems a little bit like lighter, maybe a little more approachable. Like 8 seems a little more of like that bolder, like a bolder rye, maybe something you get from one that would have a little extra age to it, would be kind of like my thought on that. Now, again, they may be very similar in ages. This also drinks a little bit proofier as well. And I know both of these are like within 0.3 of a proof point. So they're almost identical. So,
and they are the same age.
They are the same age. Okay. And I guess if I ask something that you don't want to answer, but most or some of these are in that 7+ 8 year range. Okay.
8 years.
Yeah.
Which is already getting to be a great age for rye whiskeys. So
we think so. We really love that. That's a sweet spot for rye. I really believe.
Here's a question for you guys.
New states on distribution on the horizon. Right now, we're just trying to keep up with the states that we are in.
Yeah.
Yes, we'd love to increase that footprint a little bit more each year, but right now we're trying to hold steady where we're at. Right this second. Yeah. That could change. Anything's possible.
Exactly.
You're in like, what is it, about 6 or 7 states so far right now?
Yeah, but basically 6 distributors, and a couple of them are in a couple of states.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. He's hearing where is that? He's hearing whispers.
Yes. That's one of our very small batches.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they'll probably be in November. I'll get to the market just in time for the holidays.
We're still waiting on Actually, it's not so much the labels, the printing of it. It's actually the paper that's holding us up.
Yeah.
It's the paper that we picked years ago that we've been using all this time is
even finding very close.
Yeah, it's
representation
really,
has been challenging.
Yeah, really on the back burner, and it's so we're waiting, and hopefully this week we're going to get an okay on the paper and the proofs.
Mark keeps hounding the marketing or the design department.
Yeah, so hey, how are those labels coming?
Yeah.
Because we can't sell anything. We don't have a label on it.
When we have our morning board meeting.
Well, it sounds like you guys and others are having a lot of just issues with all this. Just one little thing here or there can really throw the whole entire thing off.
Last year it was glass.
Yeah.
So people might have noticed that we went from our original bottle shape into a little different bottle shape last year because we could not get bottles to put whiskey into. So, which we love. Actually, it's worked out really great. We love the new bottles, and so you'll see actually our older bottles we're going to be using for special releases out of our. We could talk about that.
Yeah,
too.
With a little red tag on most everything coming out of Louisville.
So that is another kind of update. Is our very small hand bottling facility. We've got that up and running in Louisville now, and we plan to do even smaller, maybe releases out of that space that will be going out of our retail shop only.
Okay. Well, that'll be fun. I mean, I think for what you guys have done with that, I mean, it's a nice place to draw people in and maybe do a little extra something or have a little kind of spin or twist to that. So that's nice. I mean, I know the amount of work and effort that went into, you guys doing that. I know Mark put a lot of, probably blood, sweat, and tears into that bad boy. So last time I was there, the last two times I was there at Justin's, you guys weren't there. So I haven't had a chance to even see the finished product. I've seen people enjoying the finished product. I haven't been able to experience.
You're welcome anytime, Scott.
You need to come back, I guess.
We would love to have you. I know you do a lot of barrel picks, so anytime you're coming to Kentucky, please come by.
Well, we might, actually, we'll be there. Myself, Jason, Trev, and we're doing another pick. The middle of would it be next week? Yeah, middle of next week, the 12th. So we'll be in downtown Louisville. So I don't know if you'll be there or not, but
if you're there in the middle of the week, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're leaving on Thursday for a family thing in Ohio.
But we will be there on the 12th.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday we'll be in town.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll
love to show you what we're doing.
Somebody asked earlier
I did see that too
on the Sonoma thing.
Well, somebody asked, are you in Sonoma or Napa? We live half the time in Napa, just around the corner from the winery on Tubbs Lane. We're just off of Foothill. And so when we're in Napa, that's where we're at. But then we're now almost half the time here, over half the time in Kentucky. So if you want to come over, the wineries, even if we're not there, we got a great staff. You can do a tasting there of both Envy wines, or Carter Cellars. Just set up an appointment. You can go online for Carter Cellars or Envy, and just make a reservation for a tasting. We'd love that. And if we're in town, you'll probably know that we're there. We'd love to get together with you. I also saw something about the price on those very small batches, which
we don't have it quite set yet, but it shouldn't be crazy.
Yeah,
and I know it's been frustrating because
we haven't raised the price.
No,
to our distributors since we started actually, and so that it should stay the same. Only thing that has gone up are the single barrel program, which is basically
a little bit
14 to 15-year-old single barrels at this point.
Yeah. So we don't know the exact price on the very small batch, but it should be somewhere in what that single barrel stuff is going for, maybe a little less. We're not sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, you guys have a price that it goes to the distributor, then it goes to the liquor store, and then they do whatever they want with it at that point.
I know we have no control at all. It's frustrating. But there's really nothing we can do about it.
Well, and it goes to from the standpoint of, it started out where, maybe a couple of years ago, you might be able to find an old Carter here or there on a shelf. Nowadays, it's barely ever there. And if it is, it's gone in no time. And the other flip side is, if it is there, is it one of those liquor stores that wants to charge like a crazy amount of money? And I know you guys have nothing to do with that. And, it's frustrating because, people want to try to get this. And when they see it, they get excited. And then they see it's priced like it's Pappy Van Winkle or something, and it's like, it's frustrating to see, but I get it. The liquor store, maybe they only get a few bottles and they're trying to maximize their profits on those few bottles. But it's unfortunately the day and age that we're in with allocated and whiskey that everybody wants, What do we got here? So, what makes America? Is that a question something you want to touch upon?
We do use light whiskey barrels in our American whiskey blends,
which is fine. Now, let me ask you this. So with some of the American whiskeys that you guys release, some or all, are you or have you like double barreled some of those?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought so.
When our first brand, everything was double barreled right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
With Kentucky Out, batch 1 to 6. So that we pretty much kept up that program with a lot of what we do, but we found that you don't really need all of it double barreled. We feel because you just have to taste it, and you have to work with it, and come up with what you really love. So it's a little of this, a little of that, but.
There's a question on finishing in wine barrels, which is another question that we get asked a lot.
So you think people sometimes think it's a finished whiskey? People sometimes ask you that?
No, not the light whiskey. I was up there in the chat. The question was, are y'all experimenting with finishing whiskey in any of your wine barrels? From Katie Turk. And that's a great question, Katie. And we are not really.
I think you get that question probably every time you're on with somebody. God damn it, somebody wants you guys to finish something in your wine barrels, for crying out loud. So
it's just not what we like to taste.
No, let's back up. So part of it is that we've never. I need to taste more of them, but I have never, we have never totally fallen head over heels for something that's finished, with the exception of a few.
Yeah.
And because our barrel, we're working with not a huge inventory. And so it's scary for us to take a barrel of great whiskey and experiment with, putting it into one of our wine barrels.
And what we do is, Cabernet.
Exactly, Sugar Kitty. It's already so good. Yeah. And that's kind of, until we're working with, we get to work with aged spirits. We're working with, incredibly good stuff. So there's nothing we want to hide or mask or change or edit. So we feel like if we can't make it better, why mess with it? That's really kind of where we're at with that. But never say never.
You never know.
As we said before, anything is possible.
We might experiment with it, at our little place in Louisville here, and just try one barrel.
We do have a couple things that are in the laboratorium.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess you could say. But those are things that we would probably release out of our space downtown.
And I've heard like those, like, if you do like an actual single barrel finished in like, a cab barrel from, Carter Cellars or whatever, I heard it ages really well in the garage in Wisconsin. So just throwing that out there. So I just throwing it out there. just a suggestion. So, let's see. So, so for everybody, as you guys can see, so it's not only the batches 7, 8, and 9 of the rye tonight. it's also what Troy was generous to offer up the what does he have? The batch seal. So let's see. It's my 7, 8, and 9, and then Troy's, I think 4, 5, and 6 rye, and then bourbon batch 8 and 9 in a single barrel. So one will be 3. I'll probably throw something else into. I still have a little bit of my bourbon batch 5, which for me is still hands down, in my all-time top whiskeys I've ever had, period. So maybe I'll throw a sample of that in with mine. And then there'll be a second winner for Troy's package. So 2 people are going to get some damn fine whiskey. That's for sure. So
this might be a good time to mention that two of the spring releases of Bourbon 8 and Bourbon 10 were actually the same mash bill as that Bourbon 5.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed 5, you may enjoy 8 and 10. Although,
really?
Interestingly enough, 9 and 7, which were high rye bills, batch 9, to me, almost lands in that batch 5 camp category, even though it's a different mash bill. But anyway,
just dark and rich.
I know you guys love that batch 5, and we sure appreciate all the kindness for that.
Absolutely.
And you said so batches 8 and 10 of the bourbon are similar or the same mash bill as 5?
They are the same mash bill.
That is
duly noted. I can't circle batches 8 and 9 or 8 and 10 enough. So,
and we want to always be transparent. People once in a while will say, we wish we knew more about what they do or who they are, but we're here always to, answer questions.
Yeah.
We're not trying to hide anything.
Yeah. Let's see. We're all waiting. We're waiting for it.
Yeah. Asking a question.
Everyone's waiting. We're all waiting for the face. We're all waiting for the face.
Do I only get a face? I can't talk
That's
about.
all you get. Yeah, you're a human emoji right now is what he's asking you to be.
Let's see. Well, in full disclosure, I haven't seen it. I really haven't seen it that much. I saw it very briefly, and so I guess I would be like,
okay. All right. That's all you get. That's all you get, big sexy.
That's how fast I saw it. So I really can't human emoji that one.
That's all you get. That's all you get. So what else to get a sample? Yeah, I think
of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
That's good. Here's what I'll say about batches 7, 8, and 9. I think from 7, 8, and 9, I think they've all increased in terms of the complexity. Like if I had to rank them in terms of how I prefer it, like I think it goes like 9, 8, 7 in terms of what I would prefer. Like I think 9 is really nice and rich and bold and it's everything. And again, I don't know if that's just, maybe I'll go back to 7 here in a minute, but I really love like 9, like that rich and bold. It's just like a great hearty, like nice, sweet oak rye whiskey for me. So,
and this is an interesting thing about when we actually did the blending that day. So when we set the batches up, at the production facility, they just put the tanks out 7, 8, and 9, and this batch went here, and this one here, and this one here. And as they worked out for things like this, when you're actually tasting them as a flight, they do work up the ladder in progression, in our opinion, as well. 7 being the lightest, most delicate, and then really heading up the ladder as you go. And they don't always do that when we have a side by side. Sometimes the lower number is the bigger pour. So I like how this set worked out.
Yeah, and that's what I would say. If somebody asked me of 7, 8, and 9, like what do you like best? I guess I think that was a great description of like I think 7 is the softest and probably very approachable. 8, it starts to ramp up a little bit. You start to get a little bit more even. The proof kind of starts to come out a little bit, begins to get really bold. And then 9, it's just like that great, there's that like kind of orange citrus. There's the vanillas and the caramels. It's much heavier, thicker, richer for me anyway.
Yeah, we do have the 9 here.
Yeah, and 9. Like I'd be interested to hear kind of like what you think of.
I haven't touched my book, right? I want Mark to read what I have got right here.
Well, I can't even see
You can't
there.
read my writing? Here.
Okay,
Put my
put my
glasses.
glasses on there. Okay, so it says totally combination. Okay, it says well, it says balance with sweetened.
That's not what it says.
Some
Okay, you can't read my writing.
burnt orange.
Burnt orange.
This is a cocktail in a glass, and it's got a little chocolate on it.
Yeah, very, very much. I mean, you describe that almost like you know exactly what it is you're talking about, and that you own a whiskey brand, for crying out loud. So you did a very good job, I'll have to say. So that's this is. I mean, I'm telling you, it is.
As did you, sir. You nailed it.
Now let me ask you guys this. So like for these, so when you get like batches 7, 8, and 9, and you prefer one over the other, how do you describe to others that may ask you, well, if I'm buying a whiskey, which one should I buy? And I guess, like how do you approach that when people ask you that about your batches?
Sherri can do it, but I can
that
do it
because
too.
and I would like you to. But I get emails a lot from people that are say I want to get one of them. Which one should I get?
And what's your palate like?
That's my first question back. What do you like? What do you drink? What are you drawn to? Because we know kind of in what camp the different releases are, I think.
You like more floral,
but truly,
higher notes, deeper, richer notes.
I always encourage people, if they can, to try and find it maybe on a back bar and taste it. Get, because they are all so different. I wish, anyway, but that's the biggest deal. What do you like? Because I think,
and let me ask you this. So like because before you had mentioned like with the how 7, 8, and 9 played out, is that kind of consistent? Like if you release, let's say like 8, 9, and 10 of the Ryes or bourbons, can you almost expect that like that batch 8 maybe softer than 10? Can you like jump ahead and kind of start to guess a little bit? No. Okay.
Like I said, we just set it up at the production facility, and that's the order that it went.
Yeah, and also we never know when we get to 10, we don't know until we taste those barrels.
I think the lineup of the bourbons, the 7, 8, 9, and 10, it doesn't necessarily run in that order.
Okay.
We've poured 10 first or 8 first. Anyway. So
yeah, okay. I was just curious because this is literally gone like in the order of like for what I prefer. I mean, I would definitely start out with 9. 9 is like what hits home for me. It's big, bold, rich, like those just great whiskey flavors that you look like. Going back to 7 softer, much more approachable. Like I would say it's more of a kind of a classic rye, if that makes any sense. But
I also have in my notes on 7 classic rye.
Yeah. So, geez, I mean, Mark, it sounds like if you need a fill-in, you got your guy here. You found your guy a little bit here.
I like having.
I mean, I don't have a problem being called Sherri. You can call me whatever the hell you want for a few days. I don't really care. So I've been called way worse than Sherri. I'll tell you that. So that's for sure. So. Let's see. All right. So let me ask you guys this. So we've covered a lot of kind of what's going on now. I guess I don't want to like get into the future or anything like that, but as far as things kind of now or where things are going, like where do you kind of see things going or where are things at right now with Old Carter Whiskey Company?
This is a new thing that we're working on.
Well, first I want to say that we're not going to change what we're already doing. So the states that we're distributing in and where we've been and where we're at is going to stay the same. But now that we have worked our butts off to get the space downtown Louisville all set up and running, this does give us the opportunity to be able to create blends and pick some single barrels internally and release those out of that space. Starting in January next year, we will be doing, one thing we won't be doing is shipping bottles, unfortunately. But we have come up with a plan that may interest some people which is we've got a kind of a locker program in incubation right now. So we are building out, Mark, Mr. Builder over here, he's not happy unless he's got a hammer and a big project at hand. So he's on to phase, where are we at now? We 3, 4?
Who knows?
New phase. And they are building out right now as we speak the old Carter locker room and parlor upstairs. And so one would be able to become a member and then be placed on a list and be the first to be alerted when we have special releases out of the space downstairs.
Wow.
So that's coming in January.
And then if you get the bottle that you want, that bottle, it'll go into your locker.
We put it in your locker, and you can come and pick it up
anytime you like.
Or leave it there, or do whatever you want with it.
Have a friend come and pick it up, because you can assign it to someone to pick it up. There'll be a little tasting room upstairs. Mm-hmm. And like we talked about many years ago.
Well, we won't be doing tastings upstairs, but it'll be there for members to enjoy.
Wow, very nice. That's a very nice thing.
Space upstairs, if you wanted to do, any kind of, a podcast or a, YouTube video, whatever you want to, if you're part of that. And, we want you to come by anyway. So,
yeah. Well, that's a nice added touch. And I think honestly, the more, personable you can make, your brand with other people and reaching out and allowing them to really feel like a part of it or something exclusive. I always think that's a great idea. I mean, you guys are really always great with your time and just, when people come there, I mean, I think everybody knows, like, when they go there, it can quickly turn into, a party very quickly. So it's
party.
We learned that one evening a couple of years ago, just sitting at the Seelbach Hotel. We had no idea. We didn't know what we were going to be getting ourselves into, but we know we got to taste a lot of really good whiskey. I'll tell you that. So
that was fun.
And I've loved you guys ever since. I mean, you guys are great.
That was a focus group. That was a focus group.
Focus group, yeah. Well, we lost focus fairly quickly, which was the unfortunate part. So
that's called a new focus.
Yes, it was. Yeah, we had to kind of figure things out a little bit, but no. So I think that's a great idea. So I mean, for you guys doing that. So I guess with that. Roughly how many people will be able to participate in like that program or be part of that club? Roughly.
Well, we're starting with the first 50 memberships now.
Okay.
So if people are interested, and we still need to, we have not announced this. It's not something that's, out there. So we're still putting the program together. But we've had some people reach out and say that they're interested. And so Jay's just getting some email names and email addresses together for people who might be interested right now.
All right. Well, I'm going to be, as soon as I get off this thing with you, I'm sending an email to Jay. That's for sure. So where do you add me to the list? That's for sure. So
you can send it to Sherri at oldcarterwhiskeyco.com or Jay at oldcarterwhiskeyco, or both of us.
Or both. So, well, I guess I want to say, to you guys, first of all, I mean, congrats on everything. I mean, you guys have done an incredible job with the brand and everything behind it, where you've been, where you are, where you're going. I mean, it's first class, it's top notch. I mean, you guys, you've got your thumbprint all over this thing, and your whiskey kind of reflects, your personalities. I think it's very, you don't want to it's big and bold and fun. I'll leave it at that. And that's exactly what your brand, I think, is all about. And I think as people, are able to watch and listen and see these kind of things, or listen to podcasts or whatever it may be, I think people really kind of lock into that. They feel like a sense of family almost, because that's kind of how you guys treat everybody. And it's a really awesome thing. So thank you for all of that.
Well, thank you. It's a great community, and we just love being a part of it.
Yes, It's been a fantastic journey. We've loved every minute of it, and it's a lot of work. We're not going to lie; it is a lot of work, and you might know it's been just Mark and I for the long haul. But Jay's on board now, and it's been fabulous to have him. And
we love what we do.
We love what we do, and it's funny because it'll start to get overwhelming, and then somebody will send me a note. I had a bottle, and it just was. I loved it, and I shared it with a family member or whatever happened, and I'll start crying because that's why we do it. That's the kind of stuff that just brings it all together for us, because it really is a labor of love. When I put that in Instagram, I mean it. And we love putting this stuff together, and we're just happy that you guys enjoy and are enjoying what we're doing.
Well, and I mean, this is probably a good way to like kind of cap it off. I mean, people are literally willing to like fight to the death.
I see that. That's why I just laughed. I go, oh my goodness. What did you just do?
No Mortal Kombat, please.
And if you know Ethan, or if you've seen Ethan, I mean, he's like built like a brick shit house. I don't know if many people would want to tango with him or not, but there might be a few crazy people who would want to like try to go toe to toe for a locker. So I guess it depends on how desperate you really are to want to be part of that thing. So.
And we are really looking forward to that program too, because it's going to bring a lot of people together that we haven't met yet.
Yes,
and we're excited for next year.
I have to tell Jason to put our names in right now while I'm live streaming. He needs to be sending emails to security spots. So get off the live stream and take care of business for us, okay, buddy? So
hi, Jason.
So okay, so here's what we'll do. So we'll do the giveaway. We'll do the giveaway now. So Sugar Kitty has been nice enough to keep track of all the super chats. I think, what are we at? 106. Do you guys have another 3 minutes and 30 seconds in you?
Yeah,
us,
okay.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We'll go another few minutes. And if anybody wants to get in on the two giveaways tonight, you can put in whatever super chat you want. It'll get you entered into each one. Sorry, go ahead.
No. So I'm sorry, Scott. I apologize.
No, I'll say it. I'll go first in terms of like mine, and then we'll finish up the best will be last with Troy's package. So that sounded a little weird, but not really what I meant exactly. But if anybody's seen Troy, you want to talk about a brick shit house. That's one small dude. I'm telling you right now. That guy, like, I don't even know if he lifts weights or not, but that guy is absolutely ridiculous. So here we go. Look at my guy. He's taking care of business. Already messaged. There we go.
For the lockers, I saw a couple things pop up. So just a couple notes on the lockers. They're going to be individual memberships.
But you can share
with two folks on a locker.
Yeah.
So that's what they are. Just
individual.
Just in case. And yeah. So for individual.
But I mean, so like, as far as like, if you guys aren't there now, does Jay have to be there, or will people have access with us?
We will have a concierge there.
Okay.
And it will start out very small because of the hours, but as Jay's there, we're looking at getting somebody to help out again upstairs to, and it may be from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
You can put other, your other great whiskeys, bourbons.
It's your locker, so you can put anything in that you want.
Cigars, whatever,
Okay.
We're hoping to do a cigar lounge phase 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just I mean, geez, it just keeps getting even better at this point. Holy cow. That'll just be like another level or something.
I have to keep this guy busy, otherwise.
When is, like, maybe this will be like part of like 10 or 12 phase, but when's the rooftop deck stuff coming?
Well, that's where we're headed. Yeah. We keep going up that steps.
Here we go. It's all in play. I think it's all in play. So all right, let's do this. So I'll ask you guys. So Sugar Kitty, give me the total. Let's see, we're 45 seconds. We'll be done. So any last minute things, fire away. And then what I'll do is we'll ask you two for whatever the total number is. I'll ask you both for a number between whatever the total number is, and those will be tonight's winners. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay. I think I understand the rules.
So like if there's 50 people and between 1 and 50, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, but once I know that total number, because we did it
Mark's
once.
holding my hand, he's excited.
We did it once one other time, and several people had too many whiskeys. I said, well, give me a number between like 1 and 50, and someone said like 75. I'm like, well, last time I checked, 75 wasn't between 1 and 50. So I have to make myself super clear, apparently. Oh, look at Bourbon coming in here right at the last second. All right, you're still in it. So, where is Sugar Kitty at? Let's see. They don't do debit cards.
1 a.m.
Oh, yeah. You never know.
Okay, so I think we're all done. So Bourbon will be the last one in here. So let's see. So we'll see what she gives us. And Steve, I need to get in. All right. Well, once we get that final number, we'll get a couple numbers and find out who tonight's winners are. So, that's one thing with like the comment. That's one thing with the comments when you start reading some of these things. And I unfortunately, when you're doing it on my side, I don't get to focus on the comments nearly as much as I'd like to. But
this is a good format, though. I can actually read them myself here for a change.
It's probably good for you to be like on the right side. You probably see all the comments are like right in front of you. So it's good. It's good for you. All right. So once we know the total number, so Kitty, just give me that total number of entries tonight. He's shoving his money into the pot. That's for sure. So how often are you guys right now? Like, is the plan to be more in Louisville most of the time, to be like kind of full time more there than California?
Yeah, I think we'll be here at least over.
We're here. We have a lot of work to do here. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And we of course we love what we do in California as well. But we've got, we want to get these programs up and running, and we've got to be here to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Somebody else to do it, and then actually we have a great.
And it just depends on what if we're bottling in California, we've got to go there. If we're bottling here, if we're working on that kind of stuff here, obviously we're here.
In terms of like the percentage, are you much more involved on the whiskey side versus the wine side as far as like that part goes?
I mean,
we're definitely actually more involved in the whiskey side, only because there's only us and Jay.
We have a staff with the wine.
Well,
Mark's involved. He's very involved in all of the, the blending and working with the wines and everything. But for day-to-day operations, we've got a wonderful staff there. Thank you, Blaine. We love you.
Yeah. All right. So Sugar Kitty. Well, I'll let Steve stuff in there. So we'll actually make it 87. So, all right. So ladies first. Sherri, give me a number between 1 and 87.
1 and 87. Okay. How about 59?
All right, Sugar Kitty. Let us know who 59 is, and for anybody who, let's see, I'm gonna put my email in there. And then you guys can just send me an email with your mailing info, and we'll make sure I'll get that to Troy, and I'll get some of that stuff off probably tomorrow. I've got a few other things I've got to send out tomorrow as well. So,
It can't work.
Who was the winner? Katie. Oh my God, unbelievable! These two, between Katie and Ethan Turk, these two win everything. They literally win everything. If I ever go to Vegas, I'm taking one or both of them. They are the luckiest. These two win everything. So
congratulations, Katie.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Unbelievable. All right. So Mark, give me a number again between 1 and 87, and not not 59.
27.
27. Kitty, what do we got? Who do we got as number 27? God, the Turks. I call her the boss. Her and Ethan, two awesome people. So 27. All right, see what we got here. It's always fun. It's always fun seeing like who the winners are. Like I would never be able to be part of this because I don't win anything. I'm like the worst person at winning anything, I swear.
You're pretty lucky.
Turk, here we go. This might be the case right here. The actor. Well, Sugar Kitty won. All right, Sugar Kitty is in. She was in it to win it. So I told her that she could win. So and that's perfectly fine. We trust everybody. That's how it goes. We're trusting, and if you drew your name, then you drew your name, and that's fine.
Yeah, we love it.
That's awesome. So that'll be good. So yep,
Absolutely.
Kitty is number 27. So congratulations to Kitty and Katie. Holy cow!
Love those folks.
Everybody. So incredible. I guess first and foremost, thank you to both of you. I always look forward to doing this. I like doing it more in person. It's always a little more fun in person, of course.
We'll take what we can get.
We will. We'll take what we can get. We'll take what we can get. If I can get a little bit of the Carters when we get in town next week, the middle of next week, then we'll send you something. If you're going to be around, then we'll send you something and see if we can maybe stop by or something. So
we want to see you.
Yeah, we'll see you for sure.
That'd be great. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for participating. All the super chats. Thank you for entering tonight. The winners, Katie, Kitty, you guys, you're going to really appreciate what it is that you're going to be trying. You've got some really, really fine things coming your way. So Carters, Mark, Sherri, thank you guys again so much for joining tonight. We'll see you guys next week. Stay tight. Stay tight. Stay tuned. Stay back there. Don't go away yet. You're always tight. You two are always within centimeters of each other. That's for sure. So it's the way it goes. So, all right, guys, thanks everybody for joining tonight. Greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next Tuesday. Not sure what it'll be, but it'll be something. So cheers. And we'll see you guys next week.
Please, you guys out there, stay connected to us through Instagram and all that stuff. And we love you. And, can't wait to meet you all as it comes.
Awesome.
And can't wait to see you next week, man.
Sounds good. See you, everybody.